What is up, Packers fans? Welcome into our live Packers training camp day 2 live chat. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. Thank you so much for being here. We've got a lot to discuss. I do have a little bit of a shorter time today than I did yesterday. Tomorrow we should be back to normal, but I'll probably only be here for about 30 minutes or so today. So if you do want to get your questions in, make sure that you are getting those super chats in because, like I said, I'm going to be a little bit shorter on time today. As far as some of the key takeaways from an injury standpoint, just kind of updating you guys there first. Players who are not practicing: Quay Walker, Christian Watson, Colin Oliver, Amar Johnson, John Williams, and Elton Jenkins. So the good news was going into the day, no new injuries. We did see Quay Walker out there just doing a little bit as well. Remember, he did get taken off that physically unable to perform list. So that was a good sign for him in general. But Matt kind of reiterated today that he's going to have a ramp up period. No real timetable for how long it's going to take him to kind of get reacclimated. But great to see him out there doing anything at this point in time and no longer being on the physically unable to perform list. So there's that. Again, no new injuries to start the day. However, there were a couple bangs and bruises throughout the course of the day. Malik Heath took a shot in the chest and, definitely went down for a moment. He continued to practice, so that was a great sign. Kamal Haddon let out a little bit of a yell after a play. You could tell he was in pain. He continued to play, so hopefully he's all good there. The one that there seems to be maybe slightly more, I don't even want to say necessarily concern. These are always a little bit ones that you have to kind of tiptoe a little bit because I don't want to speculate and I don't know for sure. So all I can tell you is exactly what I saw, right? So with Aaron Banks, I saw after a play, he was actually walking basically right towards me and he was kind of walking a little bit gingerly and he had this kind of big grimace on his face of just like, you could tell he was in a little bit of pain. And then right after that, they go into, I think it was the 2-minute drills with the ones, and Aaron Banks was not out there at left guard. It was Travis Glover. Then they went over into individual drills and Aaron Banks had his helmet, but did not do any of the individual drills. Then they had more team periods with the ones. And once again, Aaron Banks did not do those. So I can't tell you for sure that he got hurt, but you can kind of put 2 and 2 together and it would seem like there was some sort of injury issue. And he was limping over to those individual drills as well. I will say this. He had his helmet. He didn't go to the locker room. He was still walking around. So it didn't seem to be anything, drastic. There was no, taping anything up. There was no going out on a cart or going to the Hudson Center. I don't even think he got checked by a trainer, at least not that I saw. So if there is an injury there, if there is something, at least on the surface, again, not a doctor, not an expert here, didn't seem to be anything serious, but that would be the one, probable injury that, we'll kind of keep an eye on over the course of the next couple of days. Remember, he did miss some time in mini camp with an injury, undisclosed. I don't either recall or don't know if we ever found out exactly what that was. Could be related, could be completely unrelated. No idea whatsoever, but we'll see if he's back out there tomorrow or if he, misses a little bit of time. In his stead, as mentioned, Travis Glover got some time at left guard. It looked like Jacob Monk got some time at guard as well. So they were kind of rotating some guys through that. One of the players that I kind of wanted to talk about today was Matthew Golden. So yesterday I mentioned had that nice touchdown reception, but had some rookie moments. Today, you saw a couple plays from Matthew Golden that got you juiced up and you could see the first round talent. And these were sort of the first real glimpses of like, okay, now, you can see it real live and in person, right? So the first play was a play where he caught just like a little bit of like, I don't know if it was like a short out route or a short comeback, probably like a 3-4 yard gain, something like that. Sounds pretty nondescript. But after the play, he makes a ridiculous cut on Gregory Jr. and Gregory Jr. just goes spilling past him, completely breaks his ankles, and then makes another cut to go back inside, completely fooling Tyron Hopper as well, and opens him up to acres of space in the middle of the field, and then just accelerates forward and takes what would have been a 3 or 4 yard gain and makes it into a, I don't know, probably 25 yard gain, something like that. And the crazy thing about this, right, is we're not playing tackle football right now. We are not in pads. We are playing basically touch. If Gregory Jr. or Tyron Hopper even really kind of gets like a finger on him, they call him down. He juked them out both so bad that he had, again, not only made them completely miss, but opened up that acres of space as well and was able to accelerate forward. Then there was another play a little bit later where he accelerated in the middle of the field. Jordan Love led him forward, fingertip catch on the outside, accelerated through it, and really showed off that speed and acceleration after the catch and got some yards there as well. So starting to see some of those flashes from Matthew Golden and all of that first round talent right in front of us. So that was kind of one of the cool developments of the day, is just starting to see exactly what he is starting to be capable of, even in day 2 of training camp. Personally, did not see any of those rookie sort of moments throughout the course of the day. So again, that's a great thing, and hopefully something that, continues for him moving forward. But we really got to see some of those plays that, made him the first round wide receiver that he was. We had 4 2-minute drills throughout the course of the day. I'll break these down in greater detail for you guys tomorrow, obviously, as we go through like the full breakdown. But the defense dominated. So on the very first drive, it ended with an interception. And right away, it was Carrington Valentine. The ball was tipped. We believe it was Isaiah Simmons who tipped the ball with Malik Willis at quarterback. It was kind of the 2s up first. There were some 2s and 1s on defense, but ball tipped, and then Carrington Valentine made a diving interception. I believe he returned it for a touchdown as well. So huge play from Carrington Valentine and nice play by the defense. That was the first play of the 2-minute drill, and the 2s immediately returned it for a touchdown. So huge win for the defense there. Then they kept those same groups basically out on the field, and on the next drive, so it was a tie game. So there wasn't a team like you didn't have to go for it on 4th down, so to speak. So with it being a tie game, you really, while you were on your side of the field, had to convert on 3rd downs. There was no going for it on 4th. They were able to hold short on 3rd down, which allowed or forced the offense to, quote unquote, punt in that situation. So another win from the defense. And then Jordan Love's group went out, had a couple completions, got to a 3rd down situation. It's probably about 3rd and 7. And Nate Hobbs had a neutral zone infraction, which made it like more manageable 3rd and 2, still on their own side of the field. Love tries to get it. I think it was an out route, quick to the outside. And Nate Hobbs atoned for his sins with the neutral zone infraction and immediately made a diving pass breakup to force the 4th down, which again forced the offense to quote unquote punt in that situation. Defense held there. Then El Guerzma came in, got the reps with the 3s. And as much as it pains me to tell you, he was trying to get a seam throw down the middle of the field. Omar Brown read it perfectly the entire way. Not a great throw, and I don't know, maybe there was a miscommunication between tight end and quarterback. We don't know in that situation. I would love to tell you there was, that it clearly was not Taylor El Guerzma's fault, but El Guerzma threw it over the middle, literally looked like it was going right to Omar Brown. Omar Brown made a great play on it as well, picked it off, and the defense won that round as well. So 4 rounds of 2-minute drills, and it went interception, pass breakup, which led to a punt, led to another punt on the next drive with the 1s, and then another interception. So huge group of series from the defense in those 2-minute drills. It was the offense that had to do push-ups at the end of practice. It did really seem like the defense was the better of the two. This had the vibes very much so of, this is the time of year where the defense is ahead of the offense, right? So I kind of had that vibe to it, but Jeff Hafley's defense was flying around. And for all those concerns about the secondary, I thought the secondary had an incredible day, including the corners and the safeties combined, including a couple of those interceptions off of Malik Willis, although technically it was tipped, not really Willis's fault. I guess at any time you put it in harm's way and it gets tipped, it's somewhat on the quarterback as well. And then El Guerzma hitting Omar Brown basically in stride on that interception. So defense definitely won the day. I'm trying to think of some of the other, kind of key plays. Offensively, I thought, Jordan had a variety of good throws. There was a big play down the field to Josh Jacobs that was there. And unfortunately, I didn't see what the setup for that play was, but Jordan overthrew it. Hopefully Jordan can get back to where he was in training camp in 2024. If you remember that preseason throw in 2024 to Wicks down the field, he was money on his deep shots at this time of year, once he got to camp, I should say, a year ago, and looked phenomenal on the deep throws. This was really one of his first opportunities. He had the perfect throw to Josh Jacobs that went off of Jacobs' hands on Wednesday. Today, he had Jacobs in stride again, and unfortunately, in this case, overthrew Jacobs by a little bit. Would have been a walk-in touchdown if Love was able to connect on Josh Jacobs on that one. From a starting lineup standpoint, it was really the same group as we've had yesterday. The only change in the walkthroughs to begin with is that Brenton Cox was with the starting defensive end opposite Rashawn Gary, and LVN and Enagbare were down on the other side. Now, once we got to the actual competitive team drills, it was once again LVN with the ones. Wouldn't read a ton into it. Enagbare and Brenton Cox got some time there as well, but there was nothing really like earth-shattering with any other lineup notes or anything like that, other than, again, it was Travis Glover who got that opportunity when Aaron Banks went down with the injury. Of course, Elton Jenkins still not practicing, so we saw Sean Ryan primarily again at center. It felt like Bo Melton came up with a couple plays. He had a pass breakup on Savion Williams, which is impressive, and then had a really nice play in the open field. I can't remember if it was like an end around or a screen or something, but it was something that was in the open field in the flat, and Melton came up and made a nice play on that. So back-to-back plays there for Melton that really showed, again, some of his capabilities as a defensive back. Let's see. Those were kind of the big ones. Again, no real crazy stuff. Baron Sorrell had a second sack for a second day, but this was very much a coverage sack. Nothing open downfield. Willis probably tried to buy a little bit too much time. Would have been, sort of sacked on the play. Another play for Matthew Golden, though. Golden kind of broke open late down the sideline, and Willis threw a beautiful sidearm pass right in stride to Matthew Golden for another reception for Golden along the sideline. So again, that play would have ended in a sack, but they left it, they kept it going, and Golden came up with another catch there. Unfortunately for Golden, he did have a muffed punt. Jaden Reed had one that dropped in front of him. I think there was somebody else who had a muff punt as well. So there were some concerns. McCole Hardman continues to look good. He had a really nice, just clean catch of a punt return, and then just showed off some of his agility and acceleration. They weren't full punt return drills, so it was just kind of like a smattering of guys that were down there, but he just showed his maneuverability, even when he just got the ball on something simple like that, and had another really nice crosser as well that he caught in stride and was able to get upfield on. Continues to come up with catches going back to OTAs and minicamp, and now in training camp for back-to-back days has come up with some catches as well. Let's see. Malik Willis tried to hit Savion Williams down the field on a deep route. Savion Williams had a step. I thought it was a gorgeous ball by Malik Willis. It was probably a hair too long. Savion Williams had to go out and try to dive for it. As he was doing so, couldn't haul it in, and it fell incomplete. So some opportunities there for the offense to maybe get the better of the defense a little bit, and just didn't quite have the ability to either hit Josh Jacobs on that big play. Savion Williams had that, it's tough to really put it on a drop. It's a tough catch. Would have been a tough catch to make, but I'm sure one that he would have told you he should have come up with. Some of those kind of day two training camp, just sort of miscommunications. Jordan Love did a great job throughout the course of the day of getting the defense to jump off sides on one particular play. Edgerrin Cooper jumped in the middle of the field. He got the free play, and then he was taking that shot downfield to Romeo Doubs. I don't think Doubs realized it was a free play because he cut off his route. And so Love threw down the field. Doubs cut it off, and Doubs was frustrated after the play. I'm assuming he was actually frustrated with himself that he didn't realize that it was a free play and a deep opportunity down the field. But yeah, either way, just again, some of those things that are very common on day two of training camp. I think those are some of my, kind of key takeaways as just, memory serves as camp again just got done. What about like 45 minutes ago, a little bit over that. So if you guys have questions, I'll definitely get to those. Like I said, I've got about another 17 minutes here till about 1:30. So I'll try to get to as many questions as I can. I'm going to start with super chats first. So if you guys want to get those in, I will definitely get to them. I'm not sure how much, again, I'm going to be able to get to overall, but I will try to get to as many as I can. Troy, thank you so much for becoming a brand new YouTube member. Appreciate that a ton. Cheesehead Fanatic 14, you as well. Appreciate you guys. R.R. Smith, thank you for being our eyes and ears, Andy. Guys, I'm locking in on our LVN, Rashawn, Lloyd, and the rookie wide receivers. How do they look? Nothing noteworthy from LVN over the first couple days, and same thing with Rashawn. What I will again tell you is until the pads come on, nothing of note for the offensive line or defensive line. Basically playing patty cake up front, nothing major to take away. So once pads come on, we'll get a better feel for how the defensive and offensive lines are actually looking out there. So nothing noteworthy from LVN or Rashawn at this point. I thought Lloyd had a really good day of practice on Wednesday. Didn't really notice much on Thursday overall. but nothing bad. Like there was nothing that was like, oh, Lloyd's not playing well or anything like that. Emmanuel Wilson had a really nice run. I will say this: the run game seemed to have a lot more struggles getting going. I thought Green Bay's run defense on the day, and again, it doesn't mean much because there's no pads on. You're not opening up holes or things like that as much. But Wilson was really the only one that had that opportunity to kind of break one in the open field. But outside of that, not much going for the running game overall on Thursday or today. And then rookie wide receivers, again, Savion Williams had a play where Bo Melton was locked in coverage, and Melton made a great play to break up the pass. And then the other one where he made that diving attempt down the field and just couldn't come up with it. Other than that, I didn't see anything from Savion. And of course, we talked about Matthew Golden. He had a really fun day, at least 3 receptions through the course of the day. That one sweet one where he made 2 people miss in the open field, and a couple other ones where he was able to show his acceleration and speed as well. Nathan, thank you for the double super chats. Do you think the Packers should trade for Micah Parsons? So we can kind of combine this because I know people wonder about Trey Hendrickson as well. Couple things I will say. If Micah Parsons is available, all 31 of the other teams in the league, not named the Cowboys, should be having a conversation. That conversation might end up in we probably can't pull it off, or it's just going to be too exorbitant of a cost. But literally all 31 teams should be having a conversation as to whether or not they can get Micah Parsons on their team if he would be truly available. I think they'll get it figured out. I would be pretty surprised if he doesn't end up in Dallas. But Dallas is weird. They end up in weird situations, but usually they end up being a little bit too late on this stuff. They end up paying huge contracts, and it gets done in the end, a la CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, amongst others. I expect that to be the case with Micah Parsons as well. As far as if Green Bay would be involved in that conversation, I believe their front office would absolutely have a conversation about it. Just ask yourself this, right? If there is all of this interest in Micah Parsons as a player, which again, there should be, every team should have a level of interest. Do you really think Green Bay is going to be the one that makes the highest offer? There's just no way, right? I would love if that were the case. It'd be really fun. He'd be an unbelievable addition and would fit perfectly, well, in any defense, but certainly in Jeff Hafley's defense as well. But if you think they're going to be the highest bidder from draft capital and what they'd have to give up to get him, and then give him the contract that he wants, probably the highest paid defensive player in the league, I will go hatless for 6 months if Green Bay makes a trade for Micah Parsons. All right. No hats for 6 months if that ends up being the case. So I would be pretty stunned. I'll put it that way. But should they have the conversation and get involved and call Dallas and see what it would take and things like that? Absolutely. Just don't see that being the case. He'd be a really fun franchise piece on the defense. And again, that's one that you really peel back and say, all right, what can we make a legitimate offer for here? Because he has the ability to be that big of a game changer for any team that would potentially acquire him. As far as Trey Hendrickson, it's a little bit different. I still expect him to want that TJ Watt deal, and you're probably still having to give up a second rounder or maybe even a little bit more. That's a tough pill to swallow when you're giving up a, almost $50 million a year contract for Trey Hendrickson, making him, probably tied with TJ Watt for the highest paid non-quarterback in football. Like that is a serious penny to pay. He's over 30. I don't think he's going to be on the decline. I think he'll age well. But again, I would not expect Green Bay to be the highest bidder to give him that contract. And there would be, if they acquired either of those guys, some real pain points with contracts down the road. They could make it work if they wanted to, but I'm not even sure it would be best case scenario. There are probably some other things that you could do with those resources that would be potentially even more impactful. But Nathan, if they end up with either Micah Parsons or Trey Hendrickson, we'll certainly be celebrating, because that would be a hell of a day to be a Green Bay Packers fan. That's for sure. All right. Cheesehead Fanatic, has anyone underwhelmed so far? I think at this point, 2 days in, and almost just in general, it's really, really difficult for anyone to underwhelm. And the reason for that is, I kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday. There's 80 plus guys that are out there practicing. So somebody could be underwhelming, but how it's going to come across to us is like, oh yeah, we just haven't heard much from them. And it could be that they're doing great, but we just didn't see it because there's so much stuff that's going on. You just kind of assume, instead of them underwhelming, that you didn't get an opportunity to really look at them as closely or didn't see them show up on a play or things like that. So I wouldn't say anyone at this point has stood out as underwhelming. I think the good news is, if anything, there have been some players who have showed some of their potential. I think Nate Hobbs has looked really good at corner so far. Really excited about that. I think Marshawn Lloyd again on Wednesday had a really nice day and started to show again what he is capable of in this offense. Matthew Golden today had some of those flashes. So we're starting to see some of these new guys start getting acclimated to this team a little bit more, which is exciting. But no, these are pretty short practices overall, with some team activities, but not a ton. We haven't really got into the padded practices yet. And again, it's really tough to gauge who's underwhelming, because you just sort of assume they're, one of the 80 some guys that you didn't get a chance to look at quite as closely. So the good news is I would say no, but there could be somebody, and we just kind of don't know about it at this point in time. I would love if we had access to all 22 of practice and I could go through and watch everyone and be like, pick a random player. Oh, he's not playing really well, but we don't have access to that. So all we can do is watch it real time as best as we can and try to glean as much as we can during that. But no, I would not say anybody has been disappointing or underwhelming up until this point. Now, let's see if I can get to some other questions here. I'll try to get to some member chats. Let's see. It depends on what God tells Parsons. Nice Reggie White callback there. How has Hopper looked? Nothing noteworthy other than, again, getting juked out in the open field by Matthew Golden today. I thought in OTAs and mini camps, he looked really good, looked much quicker, but I haven't seen anything of note other than, again, getting juked out by Matthew Golden today. So again, some of these things, it's really tough with so many players out there to get a feel for everyone. I've talked about this in years prior, I don't think, yesterday or today, but if I go into a play, so for example, today there was a play where I couldn't tell who was at left tackle. And so I'm trying to watch who's at left tackle. And then I'm just going to watch that route, because I actually thought it was the ones, and I thought it was Anthony Belton at left tackle. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch this. And then it was Rasheed Walker, and it was much ado about nothing. There was nothing going on in the play. And then I missed a play. I can't remember if that was the Jacobs one down the field, or there was some big play that happened, and I didn't watch it because I was trying to figure out what was going on at left tackle. The point being here is, if I go into a play being like, okay, I'm going to watch Tyron Hopper on this play, and then Hopper does nothing, and meanwhile, there was a rush on the quarterback and somebody got open down the field and there was a big play, you end up missing three other things because you're trying to watch Tyron Hopper, and you might not get anything from Tyron Hopper on that play. So it's really, really difficult to go into any play being like, oh, I haven't watched so-and-so for a while. Let me see if they, I can watch them for this play. Every once in a while, I'll do something like that, but it ultimately ends up being pretty rare, because the odds that anything noteworthy takes place from that one player on that one play are pretty minimal. So you're better off just kind of watching the play develop and seeing if you can pick up on something on the, defensive front or the offensive line in the start of the play, something down the field, the throw, whatever it might be, to try to keep a wide view of everything, to pick up as much as I can, is usually a better process than just trying to watch one player. So I haven't really seen anything specific from Hopper other than, again, the play with Golden today. All right. Would you say Hardman at this point has the upper hand on Heath? Seems like he's played well so far throughout OTAs and minicamp. Also can be utilized on special teams as a returner. Tom, I would go as far as saying that at this point. A lot of time left. I know the team really likes Malik Heath. He's a good receiver. I think there's probably a good chance that they can get Malik Heath back on the practice squad, though. So they could be feeling like, hey, we can go with our top 5 guys that are basically locks to make the team. Hardman as our 6, and he can be our punt returner. Plus, if Bo Melton makes it as a defender, then you have another option there. And we could get Malik Heath back as a, practice squad guy. There could be some real advantages to that as well, just with the entire depth of your wide receiver group. So I would put Hardman ahead at this point, but a lot of time left. I can't say a lot of ball game left. Aaron Nagler has that, locked in, but a lot of time left to kind of figure that out. Random comment from John. I've seen this a couple times in social media saying that even though they aren't Packers fans, they want to buy a piece of the team. Interesting. That doesn't surprise me. You can't be a owner of any other team in the NFL. Also, they can't be an owner now. There's no stock sale going on. So they're going to have to wait for the next one. Also, if we don't need to get into that. But I totally get the sentiment nonetheless. This surprises most people. I am not an owner of the team. I have not done either of the stock sales Didn't do the one initially. I think I was in college at the time when they did. Obviously, not the initial one. I was, not born yet at that time. But the first one where they kind of redid it. I think I was in college at the time, and college money is hard to come by. So me going and buying a bottle of Goldschlager at the time was probably feeling like a better investment for college Andy than the piece of paper, if you will. And then this last time, there's weird verbiage if you're an NFL owner that you can't make any criticisms or speak ill of the NFL or the team. Like there's some weird things. Do I think that anyone would have given two what's about me saying anything as a quote unquote owner with the paper in the back? No, I don't. But I didn't exactly want to risk it either. There's like this crazy like $500,000 fine or something that comes along with it because most owners can afford that. I could not. So I did not do the stock sale, but yeah, it's an interesting situation when they do that. Maybe down the line, if they have another one, I'll take advantage of it. Like hearing that Simmons is doing it early. Yeah, he's having a really nice start to camp so far. And if he was in fact the one that batted that pass today, again, just continues to make a really sound and solid impact. Gary's thinking Golden will be a day one starter and a monster. We'll see. He had a really nice day today. Chad is very excited about Lloyd and Golden. These guys could be game changers. And if Musgrave can get going, watch out. A lot of weapons on offense. Just have to, again, show that consistency and show that they have the ability to kind of spread the ball around and keep kind of everyone invested and hungry and excited and just find that rhythm and consistency along with that. Andy, you have to get Russ Ball on the show or we'll never get an answer on the Jair thing. I'm pretty much reserved to the fact that we'll never get an answer on the Jair thing. If I get Russ Ball, if he's in front of me in line at the grocery store and we're both, picking up some Luigi's pizzas, maybe I'll have the opportunity to ask him in that situation. But outside of that, I'm sort of reserved to the fact that we're probably not going to get an answer on that. All right. Any other member chats that came in here? We just got a new super chat. Appreciate you, Cheesehead Fanatic. All right. If you could put one Packer from any era on this team, who would it be? I cannot tell you, Cheesehead Fanatic, how popular of a question that this is. I get this at live events. I get this on a variety of different live chats and things like that. So it's a very popular question. Couple different, answers. I think the go-to answer more often than not is like a Reggie White, right? I would love to add Charles Woodson into the secondary for a variety of reasons. One, he's unbelievable, right? Number two is, you talk about maybe the one position that doesn't have that star player on it. All right. Hello, Charles Woodson. Number three, can you even begin to imagine Jeff Hafley utilizing Charles Woodson and Woodson and McKinney being in the same defense together? Just good night, right? There's a huge piece of me that wants to say Charles Woodson. Reggie White opposite Rashawn Gary. That is ultra enticing as well. And then, this is not an indictment of, Jordan Love at all. Prime best Aaron Rodgers is still in the argument for being the best quarterback that I've ever seen. I think still to this day, prime Patrick Mahomes, when he's, at his absolute best, is probably still the only one that to me is in the conversation. So if you can add that version of Aaron, just absolute prime, the ability to buy time, roll out, hit players everywhere, the unbelievable accuracy, never turning the ball over, like that version of Aaron just gives you a shot at the Super Bowl or at least, a playoff run every single year. You need the pieces around it, but you could still make an argument for that as well. So Aaron, prime Reggie, prime Charles Woodson, those would be probably the three that I think would be most fun to add to the team. I'll go with Reggie because I think, adding him to that defensive front would be really, really fun. But my heart wants to say Charles Woodson. My mind might say Aaron Rodgers in that situation. Sergeant Dan, hey, Andy, happy training camp Thursday. Happy training camp Thursday to you as well. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, a lot of Reggie answers. Seawood as well got an answer in there. But yeah, Woodson, hard to argue with for sure. And yes, Reggie was also so good. Reggie White, most definitely your Brett Favre, prime Brett Favre. Again, same thing with, Aaron basically in that conversation, right? All right. I think there was a couple other member chats here. Don't forget to hit the like button. Appreciate that. All right, we got one more super chat. After this one, I'm probably going to have to get out of here, guys. Luke Popovich I love the new throwback uniforms with the leather look helmets. Makes me think of it. You're fighting Irish back in the day. Do you like the new look? So first of all, I know still a lot of people getting this wrong. Nothing to do with the Fighting Irish, just a Live Lucky hat. You can see the Live Lucky on the sides. So yeah, nothing to do with the Irish whatsoever. So not my Irish, but I do really like the blue and the gold. I think it's a clean fit. The helmets are fine. I don't have really a take on the helmets one way or the other, but I do really love the clean jersey. I actually went to the pro shop today, got a couple items for myself. I was really hoping, I'm not a jersey guy myself. So I was really hoping to get 2 jerseys for my kids because their jerseys they have are Jair Alexander. So need to get them something new. I wanted to get them those new, clean, fresh jerseys, but they didn't have kids' jerseys in for the new jerseys yet. So hopefully that happens sometime soon. But I think I went and looked at them in person. They are incredibly clean. So love them. And I'm really excited about the throwbacks this year. All right, friends, that is going to do it for me for now. My plan is to really get to my full recap. I'm going to record that here probably in just a moment. So if you are a Pack a Day Podcast YouTube member, I'm hoping I get to it before I have to head out here today. If so, that could be up soon. If not, it'll be up later tonight. It'll still be out earlier. For everyone that's not a member, that'll be up at 5 a.m. Tomorrow morning for you guys. So you have it first thing when you get up. It'll also be on the audio channel first thing at 5 in the morning as well tomorrow. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, give those 5-star reviews when you can. I'll be back tomorrow for I should be able to do an hour-long chat tomorrow after day 3 of training camp. Yeah, so keep an eye out for that. I will see you guys all very, very soon. But until next time, and as always, go Pack Go.